Today we're gonna be talking about the very special title that the Sid Meier's Pirates no doubt is. And I will unconventionally, this once only, start my review from the very end. So here you go. Sid Meier's Pirates is an amazing, timeless and genuinely unique title and a solid and unquestionable 9 out of 10 game. And the rest of this video will be me explaining why. But before I do that, please hit those like and subscribe buttons below. It helps me more than you know. Thanks. Pirates was originally released in 1987 by Microprose on Commodore 64 and it blew the world away. It was ahead of its time in terms of design, gameplay, story and how vast and open the game world was. Originally its reach might have been reduced a little because it was only released on a disc and the grand majority of C64 users had tape decks, but it didn't change the fact that the game was something uncanny, an unpolished gem that had more to offer than it appeared on the surface. Not much later, Pirates appeared on various other platforms, eventually landing ports on Amstrad CPC, Atari ST, macOS, PC-DOS, NES and Sega Genesis among others. Some of these even got a refreshed port a few years later, simply called Pirates Gold. Eventually in 2005 it was released on Steam under original name but in totally remade form with 3D graphics. Some might consider this version subpar, but if given time and attention I'd risk saying that it's at least as good as original, if not better. Its only downside being released in time when there were many more games available each year, often sporting incredible graphics and effects, which Pirates, while looking okay, did not have. On the other hand, it was never about graphics with Sid Meier's games, but all about pure fun and enjoyment of gameplay. 3 years after C64, Microprose released Pirates on the Amiga. And between all 8 and 16-bit versions, Amiga's outing was definitely the best graphics-wise and will be the subject of this video. That said, most of what will be said here can pretty much apply to any version, so if you can only play a different one, don't worry about it, keep watching as your experience should be nigh identical regardless what you run the game on. Although graphics were full screen only while C traveling, in most other screens showing up in small windows overlapped by another C, a sea of text, the sheer quality of it made me question if it's really 32 colors only. It is, but the way they are mixed is superb, and the game's presentation is just beautiful. Sound and music are quite sparse and only appearing as a hum of the sea, gunshots and a short musical bit every time something notable happens, so there's not really too much to talk about here, regardless of the version. Pirates came out only on 2 floppies for the Amiga, so the infamous disc juggling was hardly an issue, and the title could be enjoyed without too many interruptions, especially if you had a second disc drive. All technicalities aside, it's the gameplay that's most interesting about Pirates. And if I had to categorize it and put it in a label drawer corresponding to its genre, I'd say that I keep it in a few of these little drawers, a copy in each. It's an RPG, as you play as a titular pirate, a pirate captain to be precise, and as time goes by, you age, gain experience, and better your skills while succumbing to debuffs that the age brings with it. Said experience and skills, however, are not based on numbers like in typical RPGs, but in you, in real life, getting better at the game and its mechanics. In the same time, it's also an adventure game, where you can be a ship captain helping to conquer Caribbean for one of 4 European powers: English, Dutch, Spanish or French. You can look for your long-lost family members, hidden treasures and perform missions for governors of various islands. But also you can forfeit it all and just be a pirate living off of sinking and plundering other ships, raiding outposts big and small and capturing gold fleets or silver trains. So, and this may already be obvious, it's also a life simulation. A very specific life, but one nonetheless. The game usually starts you off at a lovely seaside town with a small ship to your name, 24 or so crewmates, and a tiny bit of food to last you for just a few short weeks. And the world is your oyster. You are not told where to go, what to do, and even what is actually possible within the confines of the game. World of Pirates is beautiful, vast, and most importantly, open, full of possibilities and dangers, and they're all for you to discover. There are many things that you can do, but there's no one right way to play or even complete the game. In fact, if you'd like to, you can play Pirates open-ended until you reach an advanced age where it will be high time to retire from swashbuckling. From my point of view, there are 3 major, but not only, paths that you can follow in Pirates. First being personal quests. So, finding your long-lost family members, you can do so by capturing enemy pirates and interrogating them, or by completing missions for city governors, who in return may share a gossip of your close ones' supposed locations. After learning which, you can travel to those places and either find them there on the spot or a clue, so more crumbles leading to their whereabouts. This path is also about building a family of your own, finding and courting wife among many beautiful young ladies living across the Caribbean, often adored by other, more well-known captains and adventurers. Second path is plain and simple giving your unconditional support to European nation that you chose initially at the beginning of the game, or one you switch to later on. As no choices in Pirates have to be absolute, none have to be final. While you help the chosen side, you aim to conquer the Caribbean in their name and have them become the largest power in the area by sinking or capturing enemy ships and plundering and converting outposts either via sea or land raids. There are also missions for governors that help you towards that goal, and they can be anything from simple delivering of messages to hunting pirates. They're randomly generated and can be completed nigh indefinitely throughout the whole game. These missions and all your achievements will also net you rank promotions within your chosen power, so wealth, land and fame. And lastly, and that's the most interesting out of all paths in a game of pirates, is what I like to call a game of open ends. It's do what you feel like, do what you dream of, basically play out your life in Caribbean. And this consists of not only what's mentioned before, but also what you make it be. So, if you feel like it, you may take a role of a fearless and ruthless pirate, spreading fear among all settlements and ransacking the Caribbean for your own gains. You will not answer to any external powers, in turn having them fear your very presence on land and the seas, to the point of sending pirate hunters after you. You will defeat other pirates, gain knowledge of supposed gold fleet and silver train locations, and aim to grab these and riches contained within you. You will be the scourge of the seas. But, and that's also another thing that's cool about this game, you don't actually have to do any of that. Sure, you're a de facto captain of a pirate ship, but if you choose to, you can focus on hunting other pirates and chasing hidden treasures, like treasure maps found or purchased from old sailors in taverns. It's also not limited to that, however, and you can pretty much do anything you'd want. And if you really wanted to, even though the game was not designed to do that, you can try trading food, sugar and goods, as they differ in prices in ports, changing with the demand and local geopolitical situation. Sid Meier's Pirates was a game ahead of its time when it was released. And quite honestly, it stayed that way even through the next few years, as nothing close to it in terms of theme or scope was available. It's not a secret that I love the game and consider it to be one of the most remarkable in the whole history of gaming. And apparently, I'm not alone in this sentiment, as Pirates is consistently placed on most important games in history lists. So, the question remains, why did I only give it 9 out of 10 at the very beginning of this video? What was that terrible and awful thing that made me shave the final 10th point of the score? Well, you're not gonna believe it. You really won't. The designers, so Sid Meier's in this case I suppose, decided not to include an in-game map of Caribbean. And yes, I know and understand that the game came with a paper map in a box. I do. But also, these were different times and many of us had copies of a game only, not ever seeing original. And even though I know better now and only have legal games, so this issue is non-existent really, these were different times when my teen self never gave it a second thought. So, playing without it either required finding a map somewhere else, or a globe, or, in the worst case, when they were not at hand, memorizing over time where each settlement was. In the end, Pirates is a game unlike any other, as freedom of choice it offered, even if limited by technology of yesteryear, was not common for a long time. It's a cool title on each and every system it was released on, and a must-have in any real gamer's collection. So, if you never played it, do yourself a huge favor, save an evening for it and just give it a go. You'll love it. And finally, may the seas be quiet and bounties fruitful on your journeys, Captain. Toasty! Thanks a lot for joining me for this long overdue adventure in the sunny Caribbean. If you liked it, hit those like and subscribe buttons below. They're a tiny click away for you, but a huge help to me. And if you're in a more generous mood, you may even want to consider joining my Patreon, or a small donation. They would help me make more better content, upgrade some of the faulty gear I still use for it, and maybe even get a camera. Details are in the description below. For me, however, as usual, this is all, so have a good one, and I'll see you next time.